It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Let's get right to your top 5 at 6. Here we go. What would you do if you only had 7 years left? That's a question for all of us. Guess what? 2032. Make your plans now. A 300-foot asteroid has a chance of slamming into planet Earth in the year 2032. We got 7 years to figure it all out, guys. Now, a 300-foot asteroid might not sound very big, but here's the deal. It'll do a hell of a lot of damage. 300 feet, that's like a football field. And if that bad boy comes in and slams into planet Earth, we're going to have tsunamis, earthquakes, square mile after square mile of devastation. And here's the deal. Astronomers say there is a 1.3% chance of this actually happening.
Well, those are betting odds.
Hey, man, listen, I know what you're thinking. Well, if somebody said it's going to rain one day out of 100, would I take an umbrella every day? And the answer is no, of course not, because I'm not a loser. But if you're telling me there's a 1.3 chance of an asteroid slamming into planet Earth, be honest. There's a part of you that's kind of like, yeah, that's fine.
There's a part of me. Yeah, there is. That would solve some issues I have. That getting started late on that old 401k thing. Who cares? Yeah. What's the hit on taking it out now? It's 1.3% today, but maybe not in our lifetime. Eventually, they're going to say, hey, gang, this thing's like 50-50 or a 75% chance. Of course, I don't trust them to let us know 7 years out, but wouldn't that be nice if you knew there was just a period, an exclamation on the end of this whole human experience thing? We've got 7 years. I mean, yeah, I could do a hell of a lot of good with 7 years. Of course, it would devolve very quickly within 7 hours.
Sure.
The planet would be in, anarchy and
chaos.
Total chaos. Cats and dogs living together.
If nothing else, we could stop for once, finally refreshing our credit score update.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter.
1.3%, 7 years. Oh, by the way, an asteroid half that size did hit in eastern Russia in 1908, and it ruined about 800 square miles of a forest. 80 million trees were flattened. So as long as this bad boy hits eastern Russia again, we're really not going to care.
Or North Dakota.
Is there a difference?
Not really.
Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. How long does it take for a dog to forget you? That's the question I have. How long would it take if your dog, if you didn't see your dog, how long would it take? For Chauncey Gorman, I always assume it's about 8 hours. I'm amazed. I'm amazed in the morning that he seems to remember me. Because let's not kid ourselves. Charming as hell, dumb as a brick.
What'd you call me?
I love him to death. If you answered 8 years, then you must be Paul Gibault from Los Angeles. A gentleman from Arizona drove to L.A. this month. He had a bunch of supplies he was going to donate to victims of the fires. Nice. He got a text on the drive. Hey, man, I found your dog. The dog that disappeared 8 years ago. It's a true story. A beloved mini pincher. A little tiny mini Doberman Pinscher, which is kind of like, what's that? Don't call it a mini Pinscher. Just come up with a new name. At least go Min Pin. I feel bad for all the real Doberman Pinschers. I feel bad for all the real Pinschers out there. They're like, we're not with him.
No.
We're not with him.
Oh, Minnie.
This guy 8 years ago was driving. He was on the way. He was relocating from Massachusetts to Phoenix on a road trip with his dog, and he stopped in Oklahoma, and the dog got spooked and ran away, which is my way. I look at that and go, oh, you got drunk and lost your dog. Okay.
It happens.
But the dog was chipped, and 8 years later, someone found the dog, scanned it, and was like, hey, dude, we got your dog. The dog did remember him, apparently. He's been reunited. I don't know, man. A 5-year-old dog, 8 years later, my spider sense tells me that dog is now 13 years old. That dog doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't...
Sounded like he was a little chippy. Here's that dude.
We searched up until it got dark enough to where my dad forced us to stop searching. But we stayed for another week. My dad's like, we have to continue on. We were renting a U-Haul. Even in the darkest moments, you just never give up hope. They left a message, and my Apple Watch sent it through as a preview. Your dog, Damien, has been found.
He turned to me when I picked him up. He was screaming and tried to bite me, but I wasn't going to put him down.
Not until when I got in front of him did I realize how much of an old man he had become.
Oh, yeah. Who wants him now?
Yeah.
8 long dog years out there, God knows what. Okay, so this is just like, it's a bit more of a handsome, what are those things called? The Taco Bell dog. Chihuahua. Yeah, it's just a good-looking Chihuahua is all it is.
He's a Chihuahua whose eyes actually are lined up the way they're supposed to be.
Yes.
Every time I see a Chihuahua, it's like that guy you went to school with. Which eye am I supposed to look at? You know, it's just like, ugh, I don't like him.
Yeah.
Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. When you go to sleep, do you like a really dark room? Most people do. Do you like it to be deadly quiet? I do. But apparently, a lot of people say, no, they prefer to have the TV on and kind of loud. Helps people sleep a little better. Can you go to sleep with a loud TV blaring in the room?
Yeah, with about 12 beers in me.
Sure.
I don't like to. I think I did when I was younger, but somewhere along the line, I was like, I know what it was when I started getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I thought, I got to shut that frickin' thing off because I will wake up in the middle of the night and not roll over. I'll start watching, how the universe was created, a 3-hour documentary. But I know some people that do. They still dig it. The TV's on. It's loud. Not me.
I spent years falling asleep to TVs, and now it's just absolutely not possible. Some switch flipped in my head. When I was on the road a lot, I was in hotels. I'd get into a room, and I would first thing just put that bad boy on, find some mind-numbing, stupid show that I don't really care about, and just have it on enough so I could hear something. I could never fall asleep in a quiet room. I think I grew up in a really loud house. A lot of siblings or something. These days, no, not at all, man. I mean, earplug me up, put me in a dark mask, quiet, cool, put the temperature about 62 degrees. I have a lot of things I need to have.
It's called a tomb, I think.
Pretty much. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just waiting for that damned asteroid. Number 2 on your top 5 at 6. This is a great month. That is, I should say, February, which begins tomorrow, is a great month for all you assholes that constantly wonder, is this the day I'm going to get punched in the face?
Well, I mean, not as much as I used to, but...
Emergency room data says the month where you are least likely to be punched in the face is February.
That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. So you got to get to midnight. Listen, all you assholes, chill out. Don't push your luck. It's an odd thing to have this come across the old news desk, but yes, you are least likely to be punched in the face this month.
Is it just a statistical thing because February has less days, or is there more to it?
Well, right.
It's cold. A lot of people stay in. It's dark, earlier than a lot of other months.
Okay.
And people are tired. The winter is starting to wear us down, and so we aren't going out. November, December, as winter sets in and it's cold, it's like, oh, let's go get a beer. It's a great night. It's cold. The weather, the holidays, the holidays. And now after a month of cold without a holiday to look forward to, everyone's just tired and they don't get out as much. So feel good about that. If you're the kind of person who normally has people taking punches at you, you're probably going to be okay this month.
I'm thinking of it conversely. What about the puncher? I mean, what about the person that's doing the punching? Now now riders expected not to sling a punch here in February.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of pressure on a gal like Ryder. Sorry. You got to keep the stats in line, Ryder.
Right?
No slugging people just because you can't get another PBR quickly enough. That's not how that works. Hey, good morning to our friends in Lindstrom. Glad to have you with us this morning. Lindstrom, Minnesota, a lovely community.
When you got to have that Scandinavian donut.
Hell
Little
yeah,
Sweden
man.
up there, yeah. Yep.
It's a beautiful thing. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. How about the Minnesota Wild with a shutout last night? How about Marc-Andre Fleury with a 4-0 shutout last night in Montreal? This will most likely be the final game he plays in Montreal. Now, of course, he didn't play for the team up there. He was never with the Canadiens, but he's from a little town about 50 miles north of Montreal. They love him up there. The Quebecois have always seen him as one of their own. Oh, yeah. And he goes up, gets the 4-0 shutout, and a lot of attention and a lot of affection from the crowd in Montreal. Pre-game O Canada, of course, being sung. The Jumbotron flipped to Fleury as O Canada was being sung, and the place erupted for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know that there's just some little budding wannabe Celine Dion who's like, I'm singing here, people. I'm singing the damn anthem. My mom said you would be respectful, and they're going nuts over Fleury. So at least there's that. Hey, a 4-0 shutout. That's always good.
I mean, he was standing on his head in the third. I mean, he made some crazy saves. Even I got my ass out of the recliner, which isn't easy to do. It was a fun game to watch.
It is a fun game to watch. There's your top 5 at 6. 25-year-old woman in England has been accused and has pled guilty to cyber farting.
Cyber farting.
My kind of girl. This is what, if you're wondering what cyber farting is.
I am.
Well, she's in a relationship. She has a partner. They seem to be happy, at least on the surface, but the partner has an ex. This woman doesn't care for the ex. So she began texting videos of herself to the ex, wherein she farted into her phone.
Why would you let this one get away?
Last month. Well, no. She's the one who's still there. The ex is the one receiving the farts.
I see. I got that backwards.
Crazier.
I see. Yeah.
No, this woman is still in a relationship. It's her man's ex that is receiving the videos.
Come on,
She sent
you
an
got the high
initial
ground.
video last month, a series of where she farts into her phone and then laughs. Sent them on December 21st, and then a few more on December 22nd, and then 4 more over Christmas Day.
A lot of sauerkraut in her diet, I guess, or something.
The police were called. They got involved. They got on hold of her, and they said, hey, you need to stop sending fart. You need to stop with these fart videos, don't you? Stop it. She continued more on December 26th and then again on New Year's Day. She can't stop farting. She can't stop taking videos of herself farting. And she sure as hell can't stop hitting send on the videos to her boyfriend's ex. The victim, the recipient, if you will, told the police, I don't feel safe in my own home. No. I don't think there's a scratch and sniff component, but still, the point remains. The women do clearly have bad blood. The woman's attorney said, look, she was only doing this when she was drinking. So let's recap. December 21st, December 22nd, December 24th, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, December 26th. Yeah, she's drinking a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
Holidays.
I mean, it's the holiday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I fart in your general direction.
What's the problem? It's just a fart, isn't it? That skank got what was coming to her. She's all flirty, acting like it's all good. No, I wanted her to have a fart in her face, didn't I? What in the world?
I respect a psycho ex, but a psycho in the moment, the psycho girlfriend. I mean, you've got the high ground here, is what I'm saying here. What's the ex doing? Is the ex hanging around? I guess.
This would go over real big in some of my group chats. There would be no arresting or anything like that. She would definitely be a hit.
Let's just call the woman. Let's just call this farting woman. Let's just call her Ryder, and then let's call the ex. Let's call the ex Brian. And so I think what happened is the boyfriend in the middle of relations said to Ryder, "Oh man." I think Ryder farted, and I think that the guy said, man, Brian used to fart like that. You know what I'm saying? There must have been some, my ex used to have the best farts. They smelled like rose petals. Something happened where she's like, oh, yeah, I'll show her who can fart with the best of them. And then, by the way, in case you're wondering, what's the penalty for pleading guilty to cyber farting? Probation, a series of rehab sessions, no alcohol for 60 days, and a 2-year restraining order.
Okay.
So keep those farts to yourself, young lady.
A lot of fun, Ryder. So she'd be a big hit with the gal friends, right?
No,
all right.
In the football group chat, for sure.
In the football group chat, as the dude, and my girlfriend's texting my ex farts or sending her farts. Yeah, she's got to go. Out with the old,
I don't know.
Drunk farting, I don't know.
It's rare that we do a story about somebody who's convicted of a crime that I honestly want to hang out with and meet and ask a few questions of. But I would love to get inside this woman's. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Stay away from me, please.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Never get drunk with the boss. Did it go sideways? Did it maybe help the job? We are interested to hear because apparently most Americans will tell you, drinking helps you with your career. Drinking with the boss, and especially coworkers, improves work relationships. And a quarter of Americans say it even helped them at some point get promoted.
Oh,
wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure
I'm
I've
not
been
doing
there.
the drinking right then.
Right?
Okay, we've all had a bunch of various jobs. Is there a job you've ever had where you never had at least a drink with the boss once? Ever, Ryder? Ever have a job where you didn't pop one back?
2 jobs, but they were like pandemic era jobs. One was when I was doing mornings at the jazz station in town.
Okay.
I drank with the coworkers. Boss did not come out drinking with us. And one was a trucking company. And I think that they did, but then it kind of died off in the pandemic.
Well, you know.
Hard to zoom in a good happy hour, isn't it? It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
This is the only one I think, my current job here, because the boss doesn't drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, we got to change that. We can.
Man, he's real stubborn. I don't think that we're tipping him over.
If we put our minds to it, we can slide a little something into a little something. That's all I'm saying.
Man, I'd love to see our JK get his freak on.
Me too.
Now, I did one time, and sometimes it works in your favor, and that's only if the boss, you can't get super drunk and not have the boss get drunk. If you show up to a drinking party with the boss, and he's a teetotaler, she's a teetotaler, then you better find another place to drink. Have a couple and then go somewhere else and tie it on. But one time, I got pretty buttered up one night with the boss, just the 2 of us, and back in those days, I was cabbing, so I cabbed. His wife picked him up. The next day's a Friday, and he's pretty icy with me. He doesn't talk to me. He kind of standoffish, and I thought, well, maybe he's just hungover. I get it. Monday he comes in, he goes, man, I owe you an apology. I was kind of a dick on Friday. I said, yeah, what was that all about? He said, well, I thought we got into a big fight after we were out drinking on Friday night. I said, that's what I said. I said, what? He goes, no, it turns out it was with my wife on the way home. And he goes, and over the weekend, then she laid into me, and I went, oh, wait, was that you? Okay, I'm cool with Zepp now, so.
Wow, you must have been looking pretty good that night.
I guess so, or she wasn't, but he did end up firing me, however, though, so it didn't buy me a lot of, I guess, leverage.
That was the next time he got into a fight with his wife, and it was her fault. She said, it wasn't me, it was Zepp.
That time it was, yeah.
I love the idea of Ryder being at a jazz station, and it's good because if you had got drunk with the boss, the guy would have been like, yeah, Coltrane's great, but if Miles Davis hadn't discovered him and put him in his band, you don't know your jazz from a hole in the ground, lady.
I heard that plenty when they were sober, too.
Yeah, don't get drunk with jazzers. Never a good idea.
No.
Real quick, every job I ever had, landscape company, yes. College bookstore, sure. RA in the dorm, yeah. Drunk with pizza joint, yep. Another pizza joint, yep. Record store, yeah. And then I became my own boss, actually, because the band got a deal. And then I was, well, I got drunk with that boss all the damn time. I can tell you
every time.
That was a whole different situation. The answer is yes, mostly always. So if you got a story for us, good or bad, feel free to share. Hey, here's a tip for young lovers I want to get to. Have sex on the first date. Just find out if you're compatible right around. And I wouldn't say that for the younger listener, but after you've had several adult relationships, no sense waiting. Because it's not about necessarily all the different positions. It's not about whether or not it's a vibe thing. It's not about the details. It's about literally just the pheromones and the vibe and how you feel before, during, and after, and you understand all that stuff. And if you have any red flags, it's like, hey, you know what? Like you, let's have lunch sometime, but this ain't gonna work. Get it out of the way. Learn and trust your gut on these things.
Been there, done that. I'm thinking of a time I dated a gal. We went out on 3 dates, having a hell of a time, and I thought, really cool. This has got some legs, I think. And then we got to the sexy time.
Yeah.
And I remember laying there afterwards, and she said, after a long silence, well, the first time can often be awkward.
Yes.
And I thought, this is over. And damn it, because she made the best chocolate chip cookies. Just
man,
something in there, But anyway, remain friends. Blah blah blah. Get it over with. You're right. Figure out that vibe right away. Like Steve said, if after you've been through a few, you gotta. Because you're not going any further if you can't get that done.
I've had the other thing where you just think you think it is just, we're just buddies, we're just hanging out, there's nothing here, and then when you least expect it, all of a sudden you find yourself going, oh my God, I've never been more connected to a person in my life.
That's a trap.
And you can't trust that one either. So, you gotta,
No.
it's like the early days in a relationship. You're not looking for green flags. You're looking for red flags. The green flags will take care of themselves. But, I look back at myself, and I was like one of those Battlestar Galactica things where the red lights in their mask that just goes left to right, like scanning at all times. Right. That's me, looking for the red flags. I'm like, oh, this is your friend? Hey, how you doing? I'm looking at the friend. I wonder what's wrong with that person. And then you're like, oh, you're from Columbus, Ohio? Got to be a problem there. I'm just, anything they say, I'm just like, what's wrong with this? Why is this not going to work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, every little thing. She likes peas. I'm out. Yeah, you're just too picky. Younger, it's everything, and anyone will do. Yeah,
how about this? How about this for a hot take that just came in? Nobody can ever be faithful, whether it's cheating emotionally or sexually. Everybody does it.
What the hell is emotional cheating?
Yeah, screw the emotional cheating. Yeah,
I don't know. Well, I think that's having a relationship, a friend where you're being more honest about your feelings. You're getting more emotional satisfaction from that relationship than with your partner.
Yeah,
I
and apparently that's cheating, according to those of us with boobs. And I'm not talking about old men. I'm just saying, women. You're friends with her? Oh, that coworker? Do you guys get along? Did you laugh today? Was that a fun happy hour? I'm like, she's just a friend. Yeah, careful with that. There's a real gray area with friends and jealousy, I found. But there again, maybe that works in the opposite as well. I don't know. I only have my observations to go on. But yeah, you got to be easy with that. Just here's what you do. When you're in a relationship, the opposite sex, you hate all of them. Meet a woman, just say, God, I hate her. Isn't she horrible? And then let her go. No, she's not that bad. Come on. Why don't you lighten up a little bit, Brian? Are you sure? Because I just want to initially hate her because I love you so much.
Wow, yeah. No,
and it's worked out so well for me.
We've all walked that very fine line right there. There's a moment in time when you finally say like, not really. I don't know. I can't imagine ever being with someone like her. And she's not attracted to me at all. And then at some point you're like, all right, fine. Look, she's hot. What do you want me to do? You want me to lie for the rest of my life that your friend is hot? How about this? KQ talking text line 651-989-ROCK. It is absolutely possible to have adult, very close friendships with members of the opposite sex as long as you and your partner are both mature about it.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what? I've got great friendships with my female friends. My wife has several great friendships with male friends. And the key, what we learned on early, is my wife can have all the male friends she wants as long as they're all just total schlubs. And the friends I have that are women that we will text and hang out and have long conversations, just absolute barnacle-faced, trolls that live under bridges. I mean, and as long as that's what you have going on, you're fine.
It's simple. I mean, Steve, you've laid it bare right there.
That's what it comes down to, man. It's an interesting thing. The more you learn, sometimes you think you got it all figured out. And I remember thinking I had it all figured out when I was like 20 because I was with my third, quote, real girlfriend. Oh, I've got this all figured out now. This is great. And for about 2 years, we had a wonderful, college-age relationship. It was great. And then in one road trip, drive for about a 10-hour all day in the car together, ended everything I thought I knew about myself, everything I thought I knew about her, everything I thought I knew about relationships. It's taken me 35 years to rebuild what I lost on that day. All I got to say is, if you think you know someone, if you think you got it figured out, get in the car and start driving. And if you can go 12 hours, then God bless you. Go with God. But if you don't make it 12 hours, trust me, that's probably what was always about to happen. They say, or I just said, have sex early on, get that road trip out of the way early on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Did that on like a first date. We decided to start dating, and I was driving to Montana to do some skiing. She skied. And I said, well, why don't you come along? And I did bring her all the way back to Minnesota, but there was a time when that was in question. Yeah, so we knew when we got back before the first date was the road trip, and there wasn't a second.
No, it's an amazing thing. The power of one road trip and the wrong Bruce Springsteen song at the wrong time. Sometimes that's all it takes. And suddenly everything you thought you knew makes no sense at all anymore, ever. When that relationship does come to an end, however, sometimes you need something to really cap it off. You need that punctuation mark. I would suggest a brick through the window. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
It's funny if you're gonna go stalk your ex and you're gonna do something that you might later regret. You got to remember. There are cameras everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. And then when the police are called, guess what? They're wearing cameras. So not only will you probably be seen and videoed doing whatever you're doing that's wrong, when you then try to deny it, we have that on video as well. Check this out. This is Bonita Springs, Florida. A woman whips a brick through her ex's window, and the police intervene, and they have the footage. It's awesome. It sounds like this.
Sugar Bow? Sugar Bow?
What's going on? You the one banging on here?
Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with my ex-husband.
Did you launch anything in there?
No.
You sure?
Yes. Sugar Bow? Sugar Bow? Don't do this.
If you cannot afford a lawyer
For what? Wait.
for breaking the window for
I didn't
brick,
break the window.
we'll speak about that now.
I did not break the window.
Okay. If you want to speak to me about it, we can, but I have to read you the same
I want
rights.
to speak with you. Yes, I want to speak with you.
Okay.
I did not break the window.
Just give me a second so I can read your rights, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Wait, officer,
Yeah, let's go to-
officer, I did not break the window.
Okay, we'll speak about that now.
I did not break the window. I did not break the window.
She doesn't sound like a psycho.
The best thing, the first thing the officer said, if you caught it, did you launch anything in there? I love the word launch because the video that is so clear from the Ring camera is this woman walks up to a house and she's holding a large brick and she's a lefty. She Steve Young's that brick right through the window of his house. And not only does she throw a brick through her ex-husband's window, it's a brick that was made to commemorate their first date from years earlier. On the brick, it says first date jet skiing, June 14th, 2020.
What's the idea there? I never got a first date brick, let alone through the window. Is that supposed to be the cornerstone of your home that you're going to build together someday? I don't understand the first date brick.
I think she understood. I think she got the memo, which is you get a brick to commemorate your first date, and you use it as a threat. If you ever break my heart, this brick's going to come back to haunt you, you son of a bitch. I mean, it's just, who knows what? But it's so great. She just throws it right through, and then, of course, denies it repeatedly.
He's not a son of a... He's a...
Sugar Bow? Sugar Bow?
Yeah, that's right there when she starts calling you Sugar Bow, Sugar Bow.
I love
and she looks nuts. She's recording herself, by the way. You see, she left hands it in there. She Steve Young's it in there while she's recording it with her phone. So, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
All sorts, and then starts pounding on his door. I assume that's when he called the cops when the brick hit the living room floor.
Yeah.
My Sugar Bow is back.
Yeah, the ex-husband Charles. This is the thing I like to picture. Just imagine this:
Yeah.
you hear glass shatter. You walk into the den, turn on the light. You look down, you see a brick through your window, and you look up, and standing right outside the window is your ex-wife. Just that moment. That's like that. That to me is no less terrifying than if it were a Bengal tiger. It's just like, oh, this is about to be the worst couple hours of my week for sure. There.
I'm sure it was hot and passionate for a while right after they got that commemoration brick, but that wears off, doesn't it? Then you're just left with psycho. My Uncle Frank, Roxanne, speaking of police songs, married a Roxanne for a while, and they did end up having a kid, but they were going through a long dating process, and she stabbed him, not seriously, in the thigh. Yeah, a little stab in the thigh, and they told the cops that it was just a drunken accident. We knew better, and I remember my dad. He's my dad's younger brother. My dad's like, "What's up, Frank?" He's like, I didn't know she loved me till she stabbed me. I mean, if a woman's going to stab you, she's really got to give a shit,
I get it. So that's where the Brill cream thing came from. A little stab will do you. Oh, I get it now. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Looking back quickly, did you ever I don't want to ask if anybody ever did weird stuff to you. Were you ever the one in the breakup where you showed up late at night drunk, you called late at night drunk, you showed up without pants on, anything you look back on and go, I can't believe I did that?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I was there once.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, come on, Steve. God dang. Well, here's what it was. And it wasn't, I don't think, that bad. And no cops were called, and none the wiser. But I'm going to confess that I went through a breakup. It was kind of tough, feeling it. And I ended up, she lived in an apartment in South Minneapolis, a corner apartment. You could see in her windows at night. And I sat across the street under a pine tree, drinking beer and kind of sobbing my eyes out, watching her in her living room. Just walk around. Ooh. Yeah, I had one of those moments, but that wasn't bad. I mean, so that's not so bad, right?
She didn't
no
know
bricks
about
through
it.
the
She
window.
Didn't bust you.
No, she didn't
no
bust
idea.
me. No. I did text her a couple of times, and I'd see her pick up her phone, roll her eyes, and throw it down on the couch. I'm like, right in the got me. That one got me.
Could be worse. Yeah. Could be worse. All right.
I feel like just a jerk for doing it and just being that into someone. Right? That never happened again.
How dare you give your heart to someone? How dare you allow yourself to feel, Brian?
It won't happen again.
We're talking about hot takes in relationships. This came in on the text line from Michael. Live with them before marriage.
Yeah.
I like the them. They pretend to have the personalities that you like and then do a 180 after marriage. Mm-hmm. 100% of divorces begin with marriage. That's what he says.
Yeah, I mean, they always have the same, I would say, vices that you have. Like, oh, you want to smoke a little pot? You want to get drunk in the middle of a weekday? I love that stuff. Yeah, until then you get into the relationship thing and suddenly, why are you drinking in the middle of the day? That's what we do. Yeah. That's our thing. Are you going to get high again? But you used to. No, not so much.
Hey, man, you know
anymore?
What? I will admit to being, we had that situation with Rosemary, but honestly, the roles were reversed because we got married, late 20s. I'm a touring musician. I'm gone a lot of the time, but we have a great relationship. The long distance thing worked for us. It was never a problem. You miss each other. Then when you're together, it's fantastic. And then, and it was also a very exciting time. But after we got married, there were a couple times when she'd look at me and go, what's going on with you? And I'd be like, why? What do you mean? She's like, you're acting like, what are you supposed to, you think you're like an adult now, or you have to act a certain way. And I'm like, I am? And she's like, yeah, you're just, and I had so much and I think it was like family stuff, dad stuff, older siblings. I was just kind of playing the part of this. I'm a responsible adult now that I'm married. And she's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize I'm doing it. She's like, oh, God, You're driving me crazy. Go find yourself again. And I was like, oh, so I mean, even and I was laughing about that with, we were talking about not that long ago. She's like, what 29-year-old guy in a big rock band turns into a stiff just because he got married? She said, that was supposed to be my job. I was supposed to be the one who's like, you got to stop drinking. You got to stop having fun. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. That's the old, you know what? Nothing like an Irish Catholic kid from a hardcore, kind of uptight military dad family to ruin being 29 and having fun.
And that's why we all love Rosemary. We've had her out on the boat a couple of times. Rosemary, she knows how to throw down and have a good time. Yeah. For sure.
She's semi-retired now. I mean, but she had an amazing career. I mean, she's not gonna be the last one up anymore. But there was a time, there was a place, and it was Camelot.
Yeah. Well, all good things.
How about this for a hot take? You shouldn't get married just because you're having a kid. If things don't work out, then you got to have a divorce. There's no shame in giving your kids a hyphenated last name. Marriage does not equal family, et cetera, et cetera. I've not been in that situation, but I tend to agree with that. If you're in a relationship, just because one of you, most likely the woman, because there's a pregnancy, there's no reason to necessarily have to get married.
Right? It's just more paperwork.
It's more paperwork. So, I mean, if it helps for the insurance, go for it.
I can tell you it's a lot better for the kids, I believe, to give them two happy separate parents than two miserable parents together.
Yeah.
Do that. Neil Brennan, he had a Netflix special last year now, that was pretty good. He broke down relationships. Comedian Neil Brennan.
Have you been in a relationship? They're very difficult. Who's in their 20s by round of applause? All right, so let me explain to you how your dating life's going to go. All right, so you're in your 20s and you're going to start dating seriously and you're going to realize, like, oh, I have emotional problems. And then in your 30s, you're going to be like, I'm going to solve my emotional problems. And then in your 40s, you're going to be like, it's a shame I never did solve those emotional problems.
Yeah.
Don't you wish we had more in common, men and women? I like those couples that have one thing in common and they're just seeing how far they can take it. You know what I mean? Like going into Comic-Con dressed as his and her orcs. I like the weightlifting couple walking around like spray-tanned apes everywhere they go. Like, come on, babe, let's go home and talk about chicken breasts and broccoli again. I want us to have more in common. I really do. Sometimes I'll be on dating apps and I'll cover up women's photos just to see what their personality's like. One girl's bio recently was like, I love SoulCycle and red wine and sunsets and rockin' playlists. And I thought, if this was a guy, I would run him over with my car.
Jay Moore had a bit where he said, you know, the thing that keeps a couple together, it's not what you share. It's not your common interests that are positive. It's as long as you hate the same stuff. That's really all that matters. He's like, it doesn't matter if you like the same things. Go have a hobby. But as long as you can agree on what you both hate, a band, an actor, a politician, if there's one thing you can agree sucks, that's going to give you a lot of legs in that relationship. Here's a pretty hot take. This came in. Polyamory is never successful, no matter how many times someone might try to convince you it is. That is swinging relationship, multiple relationships, open relationships, if you will. Jealousy is going to happen no matter how much the people think, no, there's no room for jealousy. We're all just consenting adults.
Yeah, they make it seem otherwise, don't they? I mean, I've run into a couple of swinger couples before. We've had swinger couples, for some reason, love KQRS. I get it. And they're just living the life, and they're very happy, but we all know better. Without knowing better, we all know better. Mm-hmm. You know, come on. You just can't, in the same room, swap partners and make that. Yeah, that's not how people are wired. We know better.
If I had ever even thought to myself, this might be a good idea in my marriage to go outside and have an open marriage, I knew that wasn't an option when I recognized that the woman I was living with, Rosemary, was jealous of Diane Lane, who was on my TV.
Yeah.
And I'm watching a movie, and she's like, you think she's hot? I'm like, it's Diane Lane. I've been into her since I was in 9th grade. And then all of a sudden, we're fighting. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So she's on I think that's about an 18-inch screen, and it's across the room. So, yeah, a full-sized human in the room, that's never going to work. That's never going to be an option. I don't see that going down that road ever. Not a chance.
Mm-mm. I mean, if you know it's not going to go the distance, then, you've got one to give. You can sacrifice the relationship. Give it a whirl. It could be weird. Could be fun.
How about this one? How about this one? Marriage isn't hard. If your marriage is hard, you're doing something wrong. Life is hard. The person you're sharing it with should be someone who makes it easier and more enjoyable. Oh, okay. Stop. Everything's hard. Yeah, no, it doesn't mean you walk in and vent and lay your issues and your insecurities and your fears on your partner and they make it better. Hell, half the time they're like, well, why are you winding me up with this? I thought everything was fine. No, it is hard. That's okay. It doesn't mean if you have a hard moment in your marriage, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. No. I will argue that one all day long.
No, it'd be weird if you didn't. Every once in a while you have a friend. I've never argued with my wife. That's wow, yeah. She's cheating on you. That's why. Dude, don't.
Yeah, right.
You've taken it too far the other way.
That's a bit of a hike. My parents, true story, they rarely argued, and it was because they were just not communicating on any level. Yeah. And then if they did ever, my parents had a rule in our house. If they were in their bedroom and the door was shut, not only did you not go in, you didn't even knock. It was like that we only knocked on our parents' bedroom door in case of emergency. And I'm like, and now one day I look back and I'm like, wait, what were they actually doing in there? We thought they were going in there. As kids, we thought, oh, they're arguing and they don't want us to hear. And then at some point I thought, maybe they were just constantly getting their freak on. Maybe it was not so bad. I don't know. But we never heard them argue. And in fact, they would crack on us if we were arguing with each other. It was like, we're too good to argue. We're the Gormans. we all get along fine. Don't you dare argue with your brother. And I look back now and I'm like, there was 10 of us in the house.
Right?
We should have been arguing nonstop. It's insane that we weren't.
Yeah. I was from the fighting family. We argued. In fact, my parents argued so much that it just morphed into their life, and now that's what they do. They argue talk to each other. We call it bicker talk.
Yeah, right.
And then we'll say something, because there was that period then of years where us kids would go, God, why do you guys argue so much? We're not arguing. Who's arguing? Skip, are we arguing? I'm not arguing.
Right.
You're just, listen to the way you're talking to each other. Why don't you stop listening to the way we're talking to each other? Okay, all right. They just have this bicker talk thing, and now it's just kind of adorable now that they're closing in on 80, so however you figure it out,
My dad would go off on us. He would vent and yell and he wouldn't throw stuff, but he would make a fist and just out of rage and all this, and he'd scare the hell out of you. My mom would just sit there very quietly, but when she got upset about something, it sent shockwaves through the house because she never raised her. She would just simply get up, stand there for a minute and make eye contact with everyone in the room just for a beat. And then you'd see like the tears forming in her eyes, and then she would leave the room.
No.
I mean, a fate worse than death. I'm like, Mom, just stab me in the liver with a Bowie knife. What are you doing? And then she would leave and go to her room and shut the door. And we all knew you can't knock on the door. You can't go apologize. You can't do anything. You have to wait for her to return. There were so many times when she would just. And I look back, and of course she would be at her wit's end. My God. But it would be the silent sort of cry, like you said, Ryder, just, I'm so disappointed.
Oh, no. I'd rather have Dad whoop my rear with that belt than have Mom just quietly walk away sobbing. Yeah, I don't even like to think about it. No.
She blew up a handful of times. The one time she came out, the three of us in the backyard were doing whatever. Supposed to be raking or weeding or chores of some sort, and we're out there just messing around and screwing around. And then my two older brothers, they started actually kind of getting into a bit of a fight, and she came bursting out of the house just angry. I don't remember the context what set this up, but I remember watching her trudge across the yard towards us, and we all kind of stop and we're like, what's she doing? And then as she's getting closer, we can see smoke coming out of her ears, and we're like, oh, she's mad about something. And I still remember thinking, like, she must have just gotten a terrible phone call. Like, I have never thinking it's got anything to do with us. And she walks right up to my brother, who's a whole head taller than her at this time, and she just whacks him, like slaps him right across the face. And then she looks at my other brother and slaps him across the face, and she goes, you get to work. You stop this nonsense, because they had been grab-assing and kind of fighting. And she looked at me, and she smacked me. And I go, what did I do? And she just looked at me. I go, I didn't do anything. And she goes, that's right. You never do anything. And turned around and walked away. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then, of course, I'm standing there. I'm like holding a rake that I've not used in 31 minutes. But I'm like, I'm holding a rake. What do you expect? But I remember that so clearly, like, you never do anything. That's the problem. And just thinking, wow, I think she just bunioned my little apple tree right down to a nub right there. Man.
We prefer Mom just keep it all balled in deep inside. A little ball of rage. Don't let that out. It's confusing. It upsets us. We don't know. That's what dads are for.
Hey, if you want to get in touch with your ball of rage, maybe a couple nights with Metallica would help. 92 KQRS wants to send you to see Metallica at Mile High Stadium in Denver this summer for the final nights of their M72 No Repeat weekend tour. That's kind of badass. I'm saying, go out and see them all. Come on. For a shot to win Snake Pit tickets for both nights, plus airfare and hotel for two, text the national keyword FUEL to 95819 for your chance to win. And I should mention, this is the last day that we're going to offer this chance to you. Text the national keyword FUEL to 95819 for your chance to win. The top 5 at 9 coming up. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
It is Friday, January the 31st. Bob Dylan, Rainy Day Women, 12 and 35 right there. Interestingly enough, Bob Dylan will be playing Mankato Event Center April the 4th. Tickets go on sale today at 10 a.m. Friday, April the 4th, I will be in Mankato. I'm just going ahead and calling my shot right now. I will see Dylan for as often as anytime I get the chance, I go see Bob Dylan. That song right there, Rainy Day Women, 12 and 35, played it myself a few times over the years. I played that song at the Monsters of Rock show in Moscow, Russia in 1991 in front of 600,000 people.
Damn.
And you have not lived until 600,000 people have stopped what they're doing to stare at you like you're insane.
Yeah.
In the middle of a rock show. Why we decided to play that song, I don't know. But I remember looking out and going, not only does no one here know who we are to begin with, now they're not going to find out. Yeah, come on. I had fun. I was in Russia. What did I care?
You need the right audience for that one, I suppose. Not familiar with the Book of Acts over there in Russia, I guess.
Not so. They're not familiar with. They weren't familiar with much of anything right there. That whole place was going under real fast. There'd been a coup attempt. This is months before the Soviet Union disbanded, and we figured, you know what? Let's just add to the general confusion. Let's just play a Dylan song.
Yeah.
The things you do when you're young and full of yourselves. It is Friday, January 31st. If you're just now joining us, if you're just now getting up, congratulations. It's about 9 a.m., and that's a perfect time to jump into the top 5 at 9. The stories we think you need to know or should know, or in the case of this first one, probably wish you didn't know. Number 5. You've got 7 years to get your affairs in order, ladies and gentlemen, because there is a 1.3 chance of an asteroid hitting Earth in the year 2032.
Yeah.
1.3% chance of a large asteroid hitting Earth. That's more of a chance than I want to hear about, honestly. You think to yourself, well, it's only 1.3. I mean, if it were going to rain 1 out of 100 days, would I bring an umbrella every day? And the answer is no. But this isn't rain. This is an asteroid coming down to Earth and smacking you and taking out everything you've ever known or loved with it. Now, this asteroid is about the size of a football field. It's about 100 meters wide. So it's not enough to be what they call a planet killer, but it'll do some damage. Make no mistake about it.
That's worse than a planet killer. Planet killer, you don't sweat it, right? Things are going to be just turning off the lights.
Yeah, I don't think the dinosaurs
but if it's not a planet killer, then it's going to be a fight to the death with Ryder over who gets to.
This stuff, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. You're going to be out there. I got the truck for it, though. I see what I know what you drive. I'm going to drive right over top of you. You better get something gnarlier for the Armageddon.
All right. Beg, borrow, or steal something that can crush your truck.
All right. If the asteroid is going to hit, we've got 7 years on this one.
Yeah.
1.3 chance. I mean, you don't have nearly that chance of winning the lottery, but still, I buy those damn lottery tickets. But I'll do nothing about this, except that if it happens, it solves some issues, So some procrastinating, things I didn't get around to. I don't have to worry about.
You're not going to worry about those weeds in the garden anymore. Some astronomers in Chile in South America discovered this. They're not going to know for sure what's going on. They say 1.3 chance now. In 2028, they'll have a much they'll be more confident with their assessment of what the percentage will be. So we got to wait 3 years to find out what's going to happen in 7 years.
Yeah, I'm a little worried because of Bruce Willis isn't doing well, physically, mentally, and so I'm not sure how we're going to take this asteroid on. Well, somebody will step up.
But this is the perfect time to send him into space then. I'm just saying, talk about going out a hero.
I think he is in space.
Now scientists have said this asteroid, if it hits, it will create a massive crater. It will destroy buildings up to 9 miles away from impact. Windows will shatter 60 miles away, and there will be a massive earthquake that could destroy things over a much larger area. It could trigger a tsunami. At the very, very least, it's going to be bad for the allergies. That'll whip up a lot of dust.
Yeah, it'll just be hell, won't it?
Man.
Oh, man, yeah.
Number 4 on your top 5 at 9 from the world ending in 7 years to a really nice story. Here's a happy reunion. A dude from Phoenix was driving to Los Angeles this month. He was going to bring some supplies to fire victims, and he got a text message. And it popped in, and he looks at it, and it says, "Hey, we found Damien." not the kid from The Omen, not Michael Damian from The Young and the Restless. They found Damien, the dog this dude had lost 8 years earlier. His dog has been missing for 8 years, and somebody found him. His name is Paul, and he and Damien, his miniature pinscher, have been reunited. Here's the happy couple.
We searched up until it got dark enough to where my dad forced us to stop searching. But we stayed for another week. My dad's like, we have to continue on. We were renting a U-Haul. Even in the darkest moments, you just never give up hope. They left a message, and my Apple Watch sent it through as a preview. Your dog, Damien, has been found.
He came to me when I picked him up. He was screaming and tried to bite me, but I wasn't going to put him down.
Not until when I got in front of him did I realize how much of an old man he had become.
You lost a 5-year-old dog 8 years ago. He's an old man. I forgot to mention, the dog was lost during a cross-country move. My man was moving from Massachusetts to Arizona, took a rest area stop in Oklahoma, and the dog got spooked and ran off. Or as I read it, he got drunk and passed out and woke up and his dog was missing. I'm sorry. How do you lose a dog at a rest area? Come on. Mini pinscher. This dog apparently they did have a nice reunion after 8 years. I remember reading a story last year about basically the summation was this: if I die at home, it's going to be no more than 24 hours before Chauncey starts to try to eat me.
Yeah.
Right. So Chauncey, after 8 years, would look at me the same way he looks at a horse out the car. Just start barking like, I want to kill that thing. There's no way Chauncey would know who I was after 8 years. And I love the guy to death. I'm just saying. Oh, God,
right.
No.
What if the dog's just freaking excited to see everybody all the time?
Yeah. Exactly. He's just a sociable little, and by the way, this dog is a mini pinscher. So, and listen, nothing against people that have tiny dogs. I don't care.
He's a mini pinscher. Yeah, right. Yeah. Look at it this way. This dog's been lost for 8 years. That means for 8 years, no one else wanted this dog. Because, other people came across it and found him, and they're like, no. Man,
I got mini dogs. They're cute on Instagram. In real life, I got no time. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Attention, all the biggest dorks we know. Researchers at Tufts University. I can't believe I'm saying this. Inspired by Spider-Man, have created web slinging technology. Seriously, this is what happens when we let all the nerds hang out with each other and then tell them they're cool for being nerds. They have a department they call the Silk Lab, and scientists have taken natural materials from moth cocoons, and they've developed a substance that can shoot from a needle. It solidifies into a string and then can lift objects like Spider-Man. Thank you. They can currently catch an object up to 12 inches away and lift an object as long as it weighs half an ounce or less. So, okay, no crime fighting anytime soon. Okay, unless the crime is being committed by a gnat or an ant or some less than half an ounce weighing object. But the fact that they're developing this, of all the things going on in the world, and you got scientists who are like, no, I'm pretty sure we could. Hang on, let's get the materials from that moth cocoon. Guys, we still got cancer. Let's go, chop. Let's fix this crap.
On that fusion, that unlimited energy thing. Any headway on that? But we've got a Spider-Man coming around. The first nerd that hits me with a spider web, atomic wedgie, to death.
Oh, my God.
To your death.
Speaking of scientists, number 2 on your top 5 at 9. If you're looking for a new gig, I got one for you. Salary starts around $36,000. Doesn't seem like a ton of money, but your living expenses are covered.
Okay.
And you can get from a 6 to an 18-month contract with an option to extend. And this is a great opportunity if you are interested in science, if you're an engineer, a carpenter, a chef, an electrician, a plumber, all sorts of jobs. The only catch is the jobs are in Antarctica.
Yeah, but who wants to live in Bemidji?
And
you've been up there?
I know of it. I've gone nearby. Not spent any time in Bemidji. The British Antarctic Survey. British Antarctic. I can't say that word. Survey. The BAS looking for all kinds of jobs at their research stations down at the South Pole. No native human population, of course, or permanent residents. Everybody you meet down there is just passing through.
Yeah.
Exactly. There is a temporary community of scientists, technicians, etc. I didn't realize there was this many people. During the summer months, there's 5,000 people down there.
Wow.
God, like a big party or something, like that one they throw up in Walker, the Eel Pout Festival. Everybody just gets together and celebrates I Hate Winter.
I think
down in the Antarctic.
there's got to be at least one time when everybody just cuts loose, and boy, is it loose. It would have to be, wouldn't it? And then during the winter, there's 1,000 people down there, and of course, it's sunless for months on end and very harsh. And that's when you start to think about things like bathtub vodka making a lot of sense.
Yeah, anybody applying for this job, I would first watch the documentary called The Thing. Watch that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The documentary.
It's real, man.
Yeah, it was, what's his name? The guy that did Civil War, Ken Burns, The Thing. Yeah, it's a great one. Hey, want to give a morning shout out to Corcoran. Good to have you with us. Our friends in Corcoran who are listening, you know what to do. We're happy to have you. Number one on your top 5 at 9. We were happy to have Marc-Andre Fleury in net for the Minnesota Wild last night in Montreal. What will be his final game in Montreal, the land of his birth. Now, Fleury never played for the Canadiens, but he's from about 50 miles north of Montreal, and they still love him. The Quebecois, they circle the wagons around their own. He was given quite a rousing tribute last night while shutting out the Canadiens 4-0. During the national anthem of O Canada, on the Jumbotron, they put his face up there, and the place went nuts for more than 30 seconds. And then, of course, after the shutout, the crowd stayed around to really pay tribute to one of their own. That's nice. I'm glad they remember that he's one of them, as they say.
Don't think he wasn't feeling it. If you watch the game, he was standing on his head. I mean, he made a save in the third that's as great as just about any save I've ever watched.
The entire Canadiens team came out in single file line to shake his hand after the final game. And as you heard, obviously a funereal death march was playing on the piano for that. He's not dying. He's just not playing a game in Montreal again. How dramatic do we have to make it? But anyway, congrats to that's a great way to go out in your final game in the House of Hockey with a 4-0 shutout. Very well played. It's good news. I like to see it. It would have been terrible if he'd gone up there and soiled himself. You know what I mean? Fleury, that's the 7th goal in the first period. The emotions are too much for Marc-Andre Fleury. Hardly a surprise that he stood on his head, as you said. The dude's a baller from day one. There's your top 5 at 9.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.